Hello and welcome back to Human Espresso, and today, Happy New Year, is the first video of 2022 for the channel, and what a way to start the year but with a new Doctor Who episode. Yes, we are reviewing Eve of the Daleks. This video will contain spoilers if you've not yet seen it. This is available now on BBC iPlayer to watch or MC Plus if you are in America. So yeah, definitely check it out and come back to this review if you have not yet seen Eve of the Daleks. There's a lot to talk about and I genuinely really loved this episode. So, Eve of the Daleks. What an episode. I genuinely haven't felt this positive about an episode in a long time, I think. Maybe since Rosa was the last time I came out of an episode this buzzed about how good it was. I mean, I'd probably say this episode better than Rosa. I honestly think this may actually be at least my favourite of the Chibnall episodes that he's ever written. Certainly one of the best for a very long time. I'd definitely say, as a Dalek story, it's probably my favourite since series... I don't know. I was watching the series 4 finale to get ready for this, and I did actually think that was quite good. I always think that's quite good. But that's more... Not as a Dalek story is why I like that. So as a Dalek story, I'd say this is probably my favourite since series 1. And it's not just down to the Daleks as well. I think this story is really helped by the characters and everything that go into it. But yeah, general thoughts coming out of it are very positive. I really loved the sort of time loop structure of the episode. I thought that really worked. I was a bit uneasy at first. I was kind of like, this is going to wear off quite quickly, but actually no, I thought it worked consistently well throughout. I also like the idea that they took a minute away each time the loop restarted, which added a great sense of tension to every time it started, particularly as the first shot we'd see often is of Aislingby's Sarah, and she'd be just looking at her phone and she'd see that they've 1 minute less, and I just further amps up the stakes with each time they have to do it. So I thought it was a really great way of building tension. So yeah, generally it was a very positive story for me. I really just enjoyed all the elements of it. I enjoyed the Daleks, the use of the Daleks. I enjoyed the characters, Aislingby, Pauline MacLean. Nick was really great in this as well. Yaz, the whole cast was just... What a cast for a New Year's Day special. It really felt festive and just special overall, which is what you want for a special episode. So yeah, overall, a really standout episode for me, and one of the best for a long time, in my opinion. As I said earlier, I think the use of the Daleks was really great in this. I think this does a lot of what Flux did for the Sontarans, in the sense that I think particularly in resolution, I thought the Daleks were maybe taken a bit too seriously, to the point that they were kind of a bit dull in places. I loved all the new ideas of introducing a Dalek mutant being almost as deadly as a Dalek outside in its shell. But, I kind of felt like they were definitely rehashing that by the time you got to Revolution of the Daleks, and they definitely needed to do something new if they were going to have the Daleks again on New Year's Day. And I thought they managed that with this. I like the idea that they were coming after the Doctor, after the events of the Flux, blaming her for what the Sontarans did. So it kind of has a sort of, epilogue feel to it. It does have an epilogue feel in terms of character as well, particularly for the Doctor and Yaz and the progress made in their relationship, which we'll get to later because there's a lot to unpack there. But yeah, the Daleks, I loved how you got that comedic element as well as this sort of very serious element that the Sontarans had in that episode. And what makes me confident about what's to come in the next special, because I think Chibnall, while I think some of his monsters were really great, most of them I appreciate from just sort of being very light-hearted monsters like the Pating and the Lupari. But apart from that, I don't think he's ever managed to create a villain on the level of, say, the Silence or the Weeping Angels or the Slitheen. I guess you could maybe say the Stenza are up there maybe, but they didn't really last past series 11. So I think Chibnall's strength is these returning monsters like the Daleks. I think he really has hit a stride with these Dalek stories. I wasn't as keen with Resolution when I first watched it, but the more I watched it, I've enjoyed it more. And I do feel like these specials have been getting better as they go along, and this is definitely... As it would probably be Chibnall's last chance to write the Daleks as well, I thought this was probably the best he's ever written for them. And I loved all the lines about, oh yeah, Daleks do not apologise, or Daleks do not have friends, which just made me laugh. And there were a lot of talk about this being the funniest Doctor Who story ever. I'd agree with that. I think it's the kind of special, like particularly in a special episode, you don't really want anything particularly serious, but it has dramatic weight as well because of as well as the comedy, which makes it feel like an actual episode rather than just a comedy sketch, which I think a lot of the Moffat ones didn't really handle that balance very well. You'd often have a lot of comedy and then a really serious, dramatic moment, whereas this handles both the comedy of the Daleks and the dramatic moments of the relationship strongly throughout the episode, with all the different characters and intertwining them to make them feel like an actual proper episode rather than bits of episode clunked together, which is how I'd probably describe, say, the Doctor and the Witch of the Wardrobe. So, for instance, you have a bit of emotion at the start with the pilot and the pilot's. Let's talk about the supporting cast in this episode. We have Nick in this episode. I liked Nick. I thought he gave some really nice moments. They all had great comedic timing. I think they've really got this sort of great, throughout the episode, the way they bounce off each other, the entire cast member. Maybe due to the fact that it is quite a limited cast, maybe due to COVID. I think they really bonded in a way that I think maybe you wouldn't have done if they'd had a larger cast and more characters to try and bounce off of. Whereas I felt really tightly knitted and I felt like I could connect with every character in this story. So Nick's relationship, I related to a lot of what Nick was doing, like constantly being really shy and talking, not like being able to talk to anyone. I really relate to this episode on a personal level for multiple reasons. And it's just, I think that might be why I like it so much. So I don't know if I'm looking at this from an unbiased point of view, but genuinely there is a lot that I relate to in this episode. So yeah, Nick's point of view with that sort of shy, not really being able to talk to people, doing stuff like, doing something like that on New Year's Day is something I probably do. So that's why I really related to Nick's character. I thought he would give a great performance. I thought one of his best lines was probably the one about the council working on New Year's Day. I always thought that funny. And I love this sort of relationship that he sort of builds up with Aislingby, Sarah, and sort of finding it hard to talk about that as well. So yeah, I really liked that. So, Aislingby as Sarah in this episode, I thought she was really good. I think she's probably the funniest character in the group. She bounced off everyone really well. I think she was constantly talking above everyone, maybe not always paying attention. I love that she's constantly turning around to the Daleks saying, "This is not fair," and just kind of moaning and getting a bit annoyed at the situation she finds herself in. I do think it's kind of a bit humorous that she also turns to other people to try and find an answer to who to blame for this situation. She blames the Doctor, and then it's constantly blaming other people for everything that happens, and then she blames Jeff, and I thought Jeff was quite a humorous presence in the background as well. I mean, we never find out who he is, but it certainly sounds interesting. I'd love to know how he got hold of all these strange materials, including what seems like thousands and thousands of cans of beef and beans, which I'm glad that when the episode aired that I wasn't the only one who thought that was a bit disgusting, because who on earth would want to eat beef and beans? It's also great to see Paula McLean, I think, from Father Ted. I love that show. I've seen it a few times before. I thought it was really funny to see her. And I thought she had some great reactions with sort of Aislingby's Sarah as well. I love the sort of phone call bit and the line about we're all going to die because there's no way my mum would phone us on time. So I thought that was really humorous. And then I love that she played away in the resolution of this story with the sort of bomb blowing up the building. So let's talk about Yaz and Dan. I've got less to say about the latter, mainly because he hasn't really done anything. And I guess in terms of this story, it kind of does make sense. I don't know why he didn't really get more to do in Flux, but I do think he's probably going the way of Graham in the sense that he sells everything he's given, he's just not given enough. And same for Joe Martin as well. There's a lot of great characters in this era and great actors and actresses who just don't get enough to do. And then, I mean, the same is true of Mandip Gill as well, because Mandip Gill wasn't given anything to do for 2 seasons, and then suddenly she was given a lot to do in Flux, and she really sold it, and she kind of convinced me of her character, and I'm now at this point where I really like her character. I think she was really great in this episode as well. But I do worry that, particularly as there's only 2 episodes potentially left with Dan, that we're not really going to see much of him, and then that will be it for this great character that we're maybe never going to see again post the centenary episode. And the same for Jo Martin, like, we've only got 2 episodes to see some more of her, and I don't think we will really. But yeah, let's talk about Yaz and the Doctor's relationship. I think this is a really clever thing I noticed in the start of the episode when, what's his name, Nick confesses to Sarah that he's had a crush on her for about 3 years, which is interesting to me because technically the span in terms of series long for this relationship with the Doctor and Yaz is about 3 years, if you don't take into account the sort of 4 years that Yaz spends in 1901 to 1905 type area. So I think that was a nice little sort of thing that I noticed. I love how this relationship has been subtly building across the series. Like in series 11, you could sort of feel the romantic sort of energy, and then it kind of pulsated in series 12, and then in Flux, certainly we got a lot of those moments. We got the hug at the end of the Vanquisher. So I feel like they've really built up this relationship really well. And I think it's been done out of all the relationships the Doctor had. Like River Song, I really did not like the way they built up the Doctor and River Song's relationship. And Tenrose I'm indifferent about, but I think this is the one that feels the most natural, like an actual relationship would actually pay out. And sort of very similar to the way that Sarah and Nick's relationship has played out, sort of slowly building across those 3 years, but definitely there. And I definitely love that Christian Bale is finally addressing this, and it made me really emotional. I really felt for Yaz, so I really loved that aspect, and I think that's definitely one aspect of the episode that makes me love this episode so much. And I hope that they go further with it with the final 2 specials, because we really need some more Thousand content. After all this time of waiting, we're finally getting there, and we've only got 2 episodes left. I am really worried that, because they've established the multiverse, so I'm really worried they're going to end up doing to Yaz what they did to Rose, and I'm going to cry buckets loads. I almost cried at the end of the final shot where they look at each other, or where the Doctor look at Yaz and Yaz look at the fireworks, which I really loved that final scene of the fireworks blowing up and everything. I think it was the first special that really felt like it had to air on New Year's Day because of the countdown and the loop, and it kind of feels like it was actually a New Year's Day special, whereas Revolution and Resolution kind of felt like they could have just aired on Christmas or New Year's, and you could have just swapped out the elements for Christmas or New Year or whatever. Whereas this really felt like an actual New Year's Day special. It really felt, as I said, it really felt special as an episode. It really did feel like a lot of fun. It was really just light-hearted entertainment overall. I really, really did enjoy it. So yes, that is my thoughts on Eve of the Daleks. I really, really did enjoy this episode a lot. Like, genuinely one of my favourite episodes of Doctor Who for, like, period. I genuinely really did love it. So yeah, what did you think about Eve of the Daleks? I'm going to give it a 10 out of 10 because I'm feeling very nice and I really did enjoy that episode a lot. And I'm really looking forward to the next special, which we'll just briefly talk about. So we got an incredible, like, next time trailer. Actually, I mean, a lot of the next time trailers for series 11 and 12 were kind of like, they were trailers, but, like, nothing, like, exciting happened in them. Whereas, like, particularly with Flux, we had the trailer where they showed Kate Stewart and I Lost My Mind, and obviously she didn't amount to much in the following episode, but it was a real, like, I lost my shit moment. And then we had another one at the end of this episode where they revealed the next time trailer for The Legend of the Sea Devils, which just sounds so cool. And it's something we've been waiting for ages, because obviously I personally think that Christian Moore really, really killed it with the Silurians. I really loved his Silurian two-parter in Series 5. I genuinely think, I know it's unpopular to say it, but I genuinely think it's a lot better than the Silurians from the 1970s John Pertwee season, personally. Obviously, I know a lot of people would disagree with me on that, but still. So to hear that he's writing for the Sea Devils really gets me excited, not only because I just love the Sea Devil as a design, and the remake of the design just looks incredible. Like, they've kept a lot of what that made that original design really great, and just plussed it, and it just looks amazing. I really love it. And seeing in that next time trailer just really got me so excited. Like, the Pirates episode was the one, I mean, based on the fact that my only other idea of what a Pirates episode of Doctor Who could be like was the Curse of the Black Spot, I wasn't necessarily looking forward to it, but now I'm slightly more convinced that it might be a really good episode. I am really looking forward to it. And I genuinely can't believe it. I almost yeah, it's amazing. I can't wait. It genuinely looks really good. Like the whole aesthetic, the pirates aesthetic, and it just looks amazing. I just can't wait. So yeah, really looking forward to the return of the Sea Devils. Really enjoyed Eve of the Daleks. I can't believe there's only 2 episodes of Jodie left. So that's going to be something I'm going to have to deal with. But yeah, thanks for watching. Let me know your thoughts on Eve of the Daleks and the Sea Devils returning as well. Yeah, I hope you had a wonderful new year, and thanks for watching. Goodbye.